Okay, Mark Hiroshi Willis, welcome to the Tokyo Living Podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
How are things on your end? I understand you're down in Okinawa at the moment.
Yes, I had an event here for 3 days from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I just extended the trip for a little bit and enjoying a little bit of a holiday as well. So for 2 days.
Lovely. And I understand that the rainy season has already been and gone there. In Tokyo, I think we're just sort of about to hit the worst of it, but you've managed to avoid that?
I come back on Wednesday. And it seems like just a little bit after the rain will stop. So maybe I'm the guy that's causing all the nice weather everywhere I go. So
yes. So just for the listeners, perhaps if you can provide a bit of a background about yourself and sort of how you got into the diamond industry, and then how you sort of went about building up your business.
Okay. Well, actually, I'm half American, half Japanese, though I don't look it. And this time I've been in Japan for, let's say, over 30 years. Also a year in high school and a year in university. And my father was working for the U.S. government, so we moved around a lot, lived in Hong Kong, London, U.S., Japan, everywhere. And my mother has always been in the jewelry business. So I guess that's where my background comes from. So as soon as I finished for university, I went to study for gemology, got my degree for gemology as well. And I came back to Japan and I started doing wholesale diamonds for an Indian company that is a site holder for De Beers. And then after that, a Belgium company. And then finally, I started my own business. So.
Awesome. Now, I don't know many people that go into gemology as a field of study. Where did you study, and how long was that course?
I studied in Los Angeles at the Gemological Institute of America, which is in the jewelry field. It's one of the top levels, and they make the certificates and so on for all over the world.
Yep.
So basically, of course, I got into jewelry because my mother was in the jewelry business. So I was really interested in it from childhood. So that's why I continued on with that.
Yeah, awesome. And then, how did you go about setting up your business, and what was that like doing that in Japan?
Well, I guess the toughest thing about starting a business is it's really, people think, oh, I got to have the right money, I got to have this, I got all that. But I think a lot of it is mental, and that once you decide to do it, everything kind of seems to fall into place. So the biggest hurdle, I think, is yourself saying, oh, can I do it? All the stress and everything. So once I started doing my, opening up my business, everything seemed to flow just right. And it comes basically also from having the good contacts, working for a good company and keeping your contacts, keeping your reputation high. And if you keep those things in place, everything just kind of flows. So.
Yeah. And so before you started your own business and you were working for the companies you mentioned before, what was your role within those companies, and how did you use that experience to sort of build into your business?
Yeah, I was basically doing, in diamond companies, basically you do everything. So I was doing purchasing, I was doing sales. I do think one of the biggest impacts I had was that since I was doing the actual purchasing as well, I got those contacts for my suppliers. So that really, really helped me when I started my own business.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit about your business. So we sort of discussed a little bit off air. There's different facets to it. What are those different facets, and how do you sort of structure it, and how do you balance it?
Okay. So, well, basically in the beginning, I just went from my old companies that I was working for, doing the wholesale of the loose diamonds. And that's how I started in the beginning. So only selling loose diamonds and so on. And then I slowly started getting more into the jewelry side of it and designing. And for a lot of it, it came from friends asking, hey, I need an engagement ring. Can you, help me? And so on. I said, sure. So I really enjoy that part of the business because it's more personal. Versus, just selling left, right to companies and, worrying about payments and things like that.
Yeah.
So nowadays, I kind of, with everything that's happening in the world, I really kind of diversified my business. So I still do the wholesaling of diamonds. I still do a lot of jewelry events and shows, for example, in department stores like Ginza Matsuya, Isetan, and so on like this. I do mineral shows, which is kind of like power stones and crystals and so on like that. And actually, that's why I'm in Okinawa. We had a mineral show here. I do, I have a lot of private clients that I've built over the years, 30 years now this time around. It's kind of, you have a good base on that.
Yeah.
And also I've actually started doing TV on QVC, selling diamonds and jewelry there. I'm usually on TV about once a month.
Very cool.
So I kind of do it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess how has it sort of changed over the last 12 months? How has the sort of focus of the business changed?
Well, like I said, basically, since I have so many different what do you call hashira, or columns of my business, I've been able to average things out, and it hasn't been so bad. For example, department stores, because there's less traffic and so on, the sales there have gone down. But my private clients and, like, say, mineral shows, those have gone up because the people there are, they really have a need or want the item. Or there are these like stone maniacs who come and say, oh, I really want, a different type of diamond. So those people come. And TV shopping, of course, that's taking off because people are at home and watching on TV. So so it averages out. I mean, probably after we get through this pandemic, department stores will pick up again, and other parts may slow down. We'll see. But overall, I try to keep it at a fair average and plus minus it out. So.
Yeah. And you mentioned there the TV sales. Do you sort of include online sales within your business? And is that something that is part of the diamond industry at the moment? Or is it such a personal and if you're buying a diamond, you want to see the diamond. Does the online model not work quite as well in that industry?
I think, well, it depends on the item. For example, the lower end price points, whatever, probably work very well. And then also it depends on the country. For example, in the US, the online market has been, booming, and even for more expensive items.
Right.
In Japan, typically it's going to be the lower end, people, or if they know the company, they know me, then maybe they'll, buy a little bit higher. But overall, my online business is quite slow because what happens is people will look online, or they'll look at my Instagram and see different pictures like, wow, that's really nice. And since I'm doing so many events and shows, they say like, well, something caught their eye or interest on the Instagram or online. And then they come to one of my events, and then they look at it, they try it on, they see if it matches and so on. And then they buy it usually at the show. So.
Right. Okay. Yeah, right. So it sort of, I guess, starts with an online, form of marketing, and then sort of builds into more of that in-person contact. You mentioned there just sort of using social media. What other platforms have you sort of leveraged to advertise your business, and has that changed over the time that you've been operating?
Well, in my case, I can speak Japanese, no problem at all, but I mean, I have not gone studied on my kanji so much. I got to get my wife or my daughter to help me sometimes. And,
right.
So if I could do better on that, I would be using Twitter more, but I haven't gotten around that. So my main platforms using is mainly is Instagram for the pictures, of course. Yeah, and then web-based, my website, which is really easy to remember, diamonds.co.jp. So, so I would say that the main thing comes in is with the Instagram to get them connected. Then after that, a lot of times what I do is when they're really interested in my product and they want to keep coming to my shows and events, they usually sign on with, I have a Line ad account, which is the business line platform.
Okay.
And those ones, the people who sign on there are usually the customers who are really, really interested in the product. And, in the old days, we used to send out all the direct mails and the postcards and so on like that. But now with the Line application. It just makes it so much easier. People who are really interested will follow it. If they don't want to get any emails, they just cancel it out. So it's cost effective. It's easier also for the customers. For example, when they have something wrong, they want to resize a ring or something comes up, they just send me a message online, take a picture of the ring or something like that and say, oh, this is the problem. And it's easy to get fixed and take care of right away. So it's a win-win for everyone, I think.
Well, and obviously you're here, like you said, you speak Japanese, and so you've got the ability to target both markets. Is there a difference in, I guess, the buying habits or the approach towards diamonds between Japanese and foreign clients, and does that affect the way that you market to those different populations?
Yeah, it's really interesting you say that because we have the foreign market, we have the Japanese market, but even in the Japanese market, it's kind of like split off into like two different groups, like Tokyo people, Kansai people, and so on like that, the way that they buy. For the foreign market, usually a lot of times it's the husbands that want to come out and buy a present or an engagement ring and so on like that. But then again, the wives, become friendly with me and they start say, okay, send these pictures to my husband, send these pictures to my husband, or they tag them in my, Instagram posts or something like that. Mainly for the foreign clients, it's a lot of it is just through introductions. Being here over 30 years, and the foreign community is quite small, close knit, and so on. Also, I went to the American school, so I have a lot of contacts from there. I went to South Korea. So a lot of people from there, they just word of mouth introductions, and and the fact that I have both sides of the businesses doing the wholesale of the diamonds and then also actually of the jewelry making, it's a good blend. Some people can sell the diamonds, but then after they don't know how to make the finished product. So I'm able to do both. When it comes to the Japanese, it seems in Tokyo, the women here, they come and, they don't want to give out their secrets, I think, so there's not as many introductions from the Tokyo, but when I go to Kansai, they bring all their friends and like, oh, you've got to buy from him. His designs, his prices are so cheap and everything like that. So it's quite interesting how we see the little bit of a differences there for Tokyo and Kansai area.
In the cultures, yeah. Well, that is super interesting. Yeah. And so you mentioned there that you sort of make the products as well. Do you sort of have a team working with you, or do you do that all personally? How does that sort of product creation side of things go?
So basically, since I have the background in the diamonds, I do all the buying myself for the diamonds. I buy locally here. Also, I have buyers in the different cutting centers, and now with technology, they can send the pictures or the videos of the diamonds or whatever, and I can actually buy it online. And since I'm only dealing with certain people, I know they know my tastes as well. They're able to describe things very easily. And then I have shipments coming into Japan from overseas diamond markets. And after that, the actual making part of the items, I choose different factories and craftsmen here in Japan to, who specialize in certain things. Some of them are specialized in the setting. Some are specialized in the actual making. Some are specialized in the carving of the metal and so on. So I choose different places depending on what the item is going to be. And, some of these craftsmen also are making pieces for some of the top brands here in Japan as well. So the quality level is quite high. And the other side too is, some people say, well, why don't you make the products overseas? It's cheaper and so on like that. Well, it's more for the quality control. Also, if there's any type of problems like a sizing or a cleaning or fixing a prong, it's so much easier for me just to pick up the ring, give it to my craftsman, he fixes it, and it's back within a few days versus sending it overseas, dealing with the taxation, the paperwork, and all of that stuff. So it's a point of feeling safe about the items and so on like that for the customer as well.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you do buy diamonds from overseas as well as sourcing them locally. Is there certain types of diamonds that you'd be more inclined to buy locally? And what's sort of the reason behind doing both of those?
Well, since I've, background with being a diamond wholesaler and dealer here, well, the first part is I'm like looking for, all right, let's find something cheap. So pricing point, actually Japan has some really cheap areas that, sometimes people are, for cash flow, they're selling off their diamonds really cheap. When you deal in a big cutting center, those people have a huge network of clients from all over the world. So they're able to somehow, sell it off. And I would say that since I have the buyers sitting in the cutting centers, going to the factories, they're able to, find out the nice deals and so on. And I'm not so picky about, using a certain range of diamond. What I'm looking for is really the beauty and the light of the stone. So for example, some brands will use only certain grades. What I do is I look at the beauty of the stone and say, wow, this has a lot of power to the stone. The luster is there. And then I start going through the grade, and if the pricing matches for that stone, then I'll buy the stone.
I guess sort of looking forward, what do you see in terms of the future of the diamond industry? Are there certain trends that you see happening? And also with the future of your business, are there any sort of expansions or other things that you're looking at doing?
I think overall, because of technology and so on, diamonds, when you're looking online, you're going to see a lot of the middlemen are going to be cut out of the business more and more. People will tend to start buying online, but the biggest problems with buying online is that manufacturers send the stones to big names, online web platforms. And the thing is that usually when they send their goods, it's on consignment. And usually the consignment goods are not always the best diamonds. Something has a problem with it because a regular end user cannot, tell what a good diamond is just by the certificate. As a dealer, we're able to look at certain aspects of it and say like, oh, okay, this is a nice stone. And then we want to get the video of it. And even with the video, it's kind of hard to tell for a end user. So what will happen is, I think, is the middlemen will get cut out. But in my case, I have, I'm straight from the source buying it. And then also I'm actually dealing with the end user. So I've cut out a lot of the middlemen, and I know how to look at the pieces. So that part of the business for me, I think, is going to keep growing. I think also in the future, people may also switch from the large big brand names and so on, and start looking for something more special. I have a lot of clients who are coming that way. Even for myself, if I go shopping, I do like to support more local, smaller businesses as well. So it's just going to be split into two sides. One is the people who will continue to buy the big brands, then the other ones who just want something special because even these days now with COVID and so on like that, people have become stressed, and so they want something nice in their life. They want nice jewelry piece. And so in that aspect, my business has been growing. Probably in the future too, because I really like the personal aspect of it. I want to do more of these like mineral shows because it's much more relaxing. If I do department stores, I got to wear a suit. Here in Okinawa, I'm in my beach sandals and shorts, and selling diamonds is great. And they have the shows all over the country, so it's kind of like a nice little break to travel around a little bit and also to do business. So.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like a more relaxing environment, a mineral show.
It's again, like I said, how many, yesterday when I was, or the other day when I was walking through the show, it was actually, no sandals at all. I was barefoot and just walking around. And you can't do that on TV, and you can't do that at
in Ginza.
So it's quite nice.
Yeah, and you just going back, you mentioned some people would rather buy from those big brands. I know actually yesterday I sort of mentioned that I was having you on the show, and they said, could have used him a couple of months ago. It's someone who just proposed to their girlfriend, but then he said, she really wants a big brand name stone. What do you feel are sort of the advantages with going with a more how would you describe it, bespoke a diamond seller or designer like you compared to sort of the big name? Obviously, there's just the individuality with the product, but are there other sort of advantages? Possibly the cost, I'd imagine, but what else?
I've had that case come up a few different times, and for example, one guy said, "Oh, she definitely wants a Tiffany ring, the Tiffany blue box, and so on like that." And I told him openly, I said, "Look, if that's what she really wants," I said, "get it. Go buy the ring there, because down the line that they're going to come back and they're going to be like, if you went a cheaper route or a different type of brand, well, you're not going to be eating well at night." She's always going to bring that up.
Always have that on you.
I said, especially the engagement ring, it's really about making her happy and so on like that. So I said, you should go there. And he says, "Well, why are you telling me this? You're going to be losing business." I said, "Not really, because down the line, you're probably going to come back to me for earrings or something like that."
Sure.
Which is, so I think in my case, a lot of the reasons why people come to me is, of course, the price point is much cheaper. Also, it's more the personalized aspect of, and then, if you go to a big brand, that you have the staff there, but they really don't know how to explain the diamonds. I'm a gemologist, but I've also been dealing personally with people over and over and over for 30 years. So I know how to put the terms in like layman's terms for people to actually understand what they're going through, not just showing a chart of the 4 C's and saying, "Oh, this is, good, this is bad," and so on like that. I'm able to explain it. I'm able to show them with a loop, where the inclusions are, the pluses and minuses of it. So they really are able to have, a backup of like what is really important to them. And I also look at that for them as like, what's important to them, not, what is good for the, the sales and so on. So for example, when I deal with engagement rings, I'll say like, people are sitting there looking at the grades and saying, "Oh, well, this is a D color, this is an E color, what is better," whatever. And I said, when you really break it down and get it really close, to the naked eye, you really cannot tell much of a difference between the two stones. And you're not carrying your certificates around with you in your back pocket because they're too big. So what I do is I sometimes take the 2 stones, I put it behind my back, and I pull them out, and I say like this. I say, "Okay, which one do you like? Which one speaks to you?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Well, wait, which is the D color?" And I said, No. Which one speaks to you? Which is your stone? And I really believe that each person has their own special stone or something special piece that is for them. So of course, having the certificates is really important, but at the end of the day, each piece goes to each special person. So
awesome. That's very cool. And I think a great way to wrap it up, if people are looking at using your services and getting in touch with you, you mentioned before your website is it diamonds.jp?
Yep, diamonds with an S at the end, .co.jp.
.co.jp. Great. We will put this all these links in the show notes as well. Your Instagram handle
is Mark _Hiroshi _Willis. So you can find me there.
Perfect. And if you're an aspiring mugger and you're looking at making some quick cash, if you find a bald foreign guy walking down the streets of Ginza with a diamond in his left ear, he's probably carrying a pouch with tens of millions of yen worth of diamonds in it. So that's
that's why I'm always on disguise. I have my shorts, t-shirt, and my.
You don't look like a rich guy.
Exactly.
All right. Well, on a personal level, I can definitely vouch for Mark's services. I've bought several things through you, and something coming in the near future as well. And you've always been great with sourcing the type of things that we've been after, and like you said, adding that personal touch, and great with sort of after sales service and things like that. So thank you for all your help so far, and I would definitely recommend your services. Thank you very much for coming on the show today, and look forward to catching up again in person soon.
Okay, very good.
All right.
Say hi to everybody.
Okay, cheers, Mark. Take care.
Bye.